Mr. Speaker, my Workers' Party colleagues and I will set our own standards and chart an independent course, just as my predecessor, Mr. Lau Tia Kiang, did in the face of much resistance, including from many personalities in the opposition camp, as he sought to build a credible Workers' Party. The road ahead will not be easy, but anything worthwhile never is. We will do our best by Singapore and Singaporeans. But how much we can do and how much the political conversation evolves for the better will be driven by three things. One, by the quantity and the quality of information that is shared by the government in Parliament and separately released to the public more generally. Two, by the resources given by the government to analyze and use that information for the benefit of the public. And three, by the willingness of the government to listen to and implement the alternative ideas suggested. As far as information is concerned, the opposition's output will depend very much on whether we can get the input we ask for. We intend to make targeted inquiries of government departments and public agencies, as such information is essential for crafting alternative policies. On its part, the government should consider how it can put out more information without being asked to, particularly information and indicators benchmarked against other countries. In early 2018, I asked a parliamentary question about the number of permanent residents or PRs who remained PRs for more than 10, 15, 20, and 25 years respectively, and the common reasons cited by these individuals for not taking up Singapore citizenship. The information provided was far narrower, specifically that about 15% of PRs have been PRs for 20 or more years. So the additional details that were not provided are important so the opposition can consider and put forward alternative approaches to population and immigration policies. The data would also put into stark relief the relevance of referring to someone as a local in our statistical data when it is clear that some PRs do not want to become Singapore citizens or the state has no plans to extend citizenship to them. Mr. Speaker, I accept such matters are sensitive, and the government's unwillingness to provide the data in the format or detail requested may arise not because of an unwillingness to disclose information. Instead, there could be genuine concerns about how information will be used or perhaps misused to rile pockets of the population, since the PR policy is closely tied to immigration and jobs. But it is my case, Mr. Speaker, that the government will have to find a new way of dealing with such difficult matters. And I strongly believe Parliament is an important safety valve and a potential moderator of extreme conversations found offline and online on immigration and population issues. To that end, later in my speech, I will suggest some alternative approaches for the government's consideration. As for resources, I would like to share my understanding of the resources that will be provided to the Leader of the Opposition. This is important for the public to know in formulating their expectations. Every elected member of Parliament is given a budget to hire a legislative assistant and secretarial assistant. The legislative assistant is paid an allowance of $1,300 per month, and the secretarial assistant is paid an allowance of $500 a month. Based on these sums, these positions are of necessity part-time ones. I should highlight that these are the same resources depended on by PAP MPs who are not political office holders. Each PAP backbencher also has only one legislative assistant and one secretarial assistant. Although I should add that they can avail themselves of the additional resources of the People's Association, including the staff at community clubs for their grassroots work. For completeness, let me say that neither NCMPs nor NMPs are given these resources. This would be an opportune time to thank the legislative assistants, or LAs, both of the PAP and opposition parties, who have over the years supported members of Parliament. For the office of the Leader of the Opposition, the government has allocated a budget for 3 more legislative assistants. Applying the standard allowance for LAs, each of the 3 additional LAs for the Leader of the Opposition will be paid $1,300 a month. Again, these have to be part-time positions. And an administrative assistant has also been made available to the office of the Leader of the Opposition by Parliament. By contrast, it is useful to remember that a sitting government has at its disposal the resources of a Singapore Public Service, a very good one I might add, of 146,000 full-time officers. Of these, 85,000 are members of the civil service. The LO's office, the Leader of the Opposition's office, will not have the breadth and depth of the party in government in coming up with alternative policies. Nonetheless, the Workers' Party will continue pursuing alternatives we feel are important for Singapore, an example being the proposal for redundancy insurance for workers as put forth in the last term of Parliament. We will continue to advance meaningful alternatives for deliberation and debate, and will strive to improve on the quality of the alternatives suggested.